Let's call the meeting to order and record attendance. So I think let's just each say our name. David Nadio, Scott Kramer, Ken Kaiser, Robert Krebs,
Wendy Corsand. I'm the only one with a mic on. Put your mics on. Can we turn that down? It's really loud.
Well, big mouths.
You can speak for this.
How's that one?
I don't know. We're all still loud.
All right. We've recorded attendance. Let's say the Article 2, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Article 3 asks to approve the current agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the current agenda with one change. Article 9 to include private session. Leslie. Closed session.
Yep. And we'll one meeting.
Yeah, you got to be really loud too. Loud, you got to be.
Yeah, so it would just be a motion to add a closed session, add a new Article 9 closed session, and I'll read off the language for the motion once we get to that. So just motion to amend the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion to amend the agenda has passed. Article 4, disclose any conflicts of interest for today's items?
None.
None. All right. No conflicts on to Article 5, which calls for approval of the meeting minutes from February 2nd, 2026. Does anyone have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from February 2nd. Sorry.
We have a motion with support. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. All right, we're on to Article 6 here. This is a time to acknowledge visitors and those wishing to speak. That would be anybody who is here and wishing to speak on anything other than the public hearing, which is scheduled for today. Anyone present wishing to speak on another matter? Anyone online? All right. No one wishing to speak. We'll move on to Article 7. It is the public hearing that's up for today with the applicant Finco LLC, case number 253909. And we'll start with a staff report.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Kramer. This is case number 253909, Plan Unit Development Amendment to Sentinel Point to amend the amended site plan for the Round Hill development. The Round Hill development is an existing development comprised of 6 single-family units located at the east side of Thornhill between Tahoe Drive to the south and Thornbrook to the north. To the west of the development is Centennial Park with a mix of single-family and multifamily residential uses. PUD 38, which is a single-family or is an office use, and the Township Fire Station, just directly north of PUD 38. The property to the south is part of the subject PUD, and it's a senior living facility. To the east, there are single-family residentials, and to the north is PUD 36 and 37, which contain office uses in the parking lot of the library and the Wisner Center, which we're sitting in right now. It's also important to note that there is a significant grade change with higher elevations on the north, sloping downward as we travel to the south. The Round Hill PUD was approved as part of an amendment to the Sentinel Park PUD in 2015. As you can see from the image in the top left, labeled 2014, the area was vacant and wooded prior to the PUD amendment. After approval, the site was virtually clear cut, as you can see on the picture, in 2018. And in the 6 years following, only 2 units had been constructed. The clear cutting combined with the significant slopes caused major erosion issues that negatively impacted the property owners to the south. After significant challenges, the project was brought back for further amendments to the approved plan as the builder failed to develop the site in accordance with the approved plans. In the spring of 2025, the Planning, Building, and Engineering Department responded to neighbors' complaints regarding the construction of his deck. This would be what would be Unit 9 in the southwest, and found that some elements of the site had not been constructed in accordance with the approved plan. The township worked with the Round Hill Condo Association, the applicant, and the owner of the remaining sites, Finco LLC, to ensure that all site violations were remedied. As part of the process, minor amendments to the approved site plan are necessary. As indicated in the packet, the township and the condo association recommend the PUD amendments to the approved site plan. The proposed site plan changes include reconfiguration of the sidewalk and shared parking area on the northeast side of Round Hill, providing accurate depictions of the buildings as built on units 1 through 4 and units 8 through 10, adding a fence on the top of the retaining wall located at the south of units 7 and 8, and removing the required building footprints from units 5, 6, and 7. So as indicated, this is the sidewalk as proposed in the current site plans. Minor modifications have been made to that sidewalk and removed from units 1 and 2. This is a recent drone footage of the retaining wall with the new fence installed. This is a view from Thornapple River Drive. And this is, you can see from the road, this is a quite large fence. As part of the remediation for the erosion issues caused by clear cutting without adequate soil control, the developer agreed to construct this large retaining wall. It was determined that it was in the best interest of the public and residents to have a fence located adjacent to the wall. This has been constructed and added to the plans. The last modification to the approved plans is the removal of the required building footprints in unit 5, 6, and 7. In front of you, you'll see the current building footprints on the left side of this image, and the approved plan or the proposed plans show just a building envelope, which means that future developer, homeowner can design their home within that approval box and doesn't have to come back to the planning commission or the board for onerous approval processes, as long as they stay within the approved area. Key considerations for the planning commission is if the amended site plan meets the requirements of section 1603 of the zoning ordinance. Staff has reviewed the application and found that all standards are met. This is further explained in the staff report. Staff recommends approval of the planning commission, or if the planning commission agrees, the planning commission should make a motion to recommend approval by the township board. Please note that the motion will be to amend the current PUD document, which is included in the packet, and change references to the approved revised site plan to reference the site plan before the planning commission today. With that, I'm willing to answer any questions from the planning commission. Also, Riley Finkenstein, one of the owners, is here to answer any questions. Take it easy on him. His partner that usually does the public speaking is out of town.
I've got a couple questions, Andrea. First, so it's just hard for me to tell from like looking at these depictions, the drawings, and even on the attachment. So like I understand the reconfigure the sidewalk and the shared parking lot on the north side. Could you just kind of like show me that again on this
Yes.
big screen?
So let's see if I can zoom in. Is that large enough for you to actually see?
I can see
Okay. So I'm going to toggle. This is the approved plan right now. And I know that this one has a lot of the contours, so it's hard to see,
Mhm.
but you can see the little dotted line here. The parking lot was supposed to be striped and the same material as the road. And the sidewalk was supposed to go directly behind the parking lot on the north.
Yep.
And then come in front of unit 1 and unit 2. So when we went on the site visit, wrong way. Just a minute. When we visited the site, we found that the pathway was actually constructed kind of jogging straight to the north and then curving east, and was not hooked to the parking lot. It was actually just kind of 2 driveways. So the applicant took the sidewalk that was constructed and connected it to those parking locations so that it was accessible to anyone that got out of their cars.
The other question, thank you. Does anybody else have questions about that change? Do you? I have one other question, which was just so it's good that you have this one up now. So changing from the building drawing to the like building envelopes.
Correct.
Then they can build anywhere within the envelopes, but is that like still then subject to other setback requirements? And I'm just asking because it
Yes.
looks like the building envelope goes like right up to the road.
It does. That's correct. So the PUD actually identifies the front setback for these units as 0
Okay.
feet. So they can build right up to their property line. So that envelope does show
Yeah,
house
like the
built
ones
right up.
next door kind of go right up to the line too. Yeah.
correct.
Okay, I see. All right, thanks. Those are my questions.
Turn my microphone back on. My question, I think I have 2, 3, maybe. Exactly. So what we're looking at to change is just switching from a building footprint to a building envelope, which is just a area that they could build within that area, and that would include any decks.
That's correct.
Any other accessory pieces or parts on the house would all be included within the envelope area, correct?
That is correct. The PUD document actually states that those elements need to be included within the footprint.
Okay, so that's really all we're looking at with this. It's not all the other millions of things that have happened along the way. It's just, instead of saying, we're gonna build this exact looking structure or size structure, we're basically setting setbacks for the back and the sides for them, because there's a 0 setback to the front, it looks like still, but we're creating setbacks from the property lines and saying, okay, here's an envelope area that you can build within, correct?
That's correct. So the engineer for the project has taken the requirements that already exist within the PUD document and showed those in the site plan to show that these are the setbacks.
And then Eric, our township engineer is here as well. Eric, I just had a couple questions for you, things that I had heard, questions about the retaining wall and the way that the retaining wall was backfilled with sand that was not properly compressed along the way. What, as a township, could we do or should we do if that's the case when we approve something like this?
Generally speaking, if you want to make sure that it's built the way it is to plan or it's built correctly, you would have somebody out there to observe while it's built.
Mm-hmm.
So MTC, the materials testing company, actually, we do have a paper trail of them having been on site. I think Fishback, when they were still representing the township as behalf of the engineer, I think they coordinated them to be out there. I haven't seen actual tests that they performed. I've seen reports that said they encountered groundwater. They were supposed to, the owner originally, consider alternatives such as concrete footings or over excavation to try to dry out the base of the wall when it was built. All that to say is the paper trail doesn't go, at least as far as I could tell, to actually confirm that what was built was per plan. But what was designed and is on the plan is actually a very conservative wall. It's almost as if the engineer who designed it knew the builder was going to do a bang up job, frankly speaking, because the wall was designed with soils which are basically on site. They're kind of a lean clay, which is a clay with a lot of silt in it. And they actually have 2 or 3 soil borings out there I looked at and the engineer used. Either a poorly graded silt was out there or that lean clay with a high silt content. Both of them not great for a wall. And it's kind of misleading if you look at this and you see, well, it's a ready rock wall. It's a mechanically stabilized earth wall with a ready rock face. So that to say is it relies on a geogrid under it because the soils are less than ideal. The geogrid helps. It carries tension. Just trying to make that in as simple terms as I can. It carries tension to maintain the embankment. And that those tend to fail depending on how you design them. This one seems like it was designed more along what I would call a residential grade. You can design ready rock walls that last up to 100 plus years. This one, even in the analysis that the engineer ran, it said, well, 10 to 60 years is the expected lifespan. Granted, that considers very conservative conditions, which were basically the soils that were out there. Granted that also in the design, it called for backfilling with MDOT, I think, class 2 sand. So if that sand got in there, it's a much better wall. If it didn't, the wall is still technically functioning as designed. It was still, but to answer your question, to actually know what's there and to be confident moving forward, you'd have somebody out there testing it and we would have all the paper did it. We don't, unfortunately. As far as putting a house there though, the envelope is 20 feet, as far as I can tell, outside the influence of that wall being at its peak point, 15 feet. Generally you use a 45-degree rule. Anything within 15 feet of that is producing a surcharge on the wall. Anything outside of 15 feet, it's not putting a surcharge on the wall. So as far as putting a house, building something permanent there, it's probably not impacting. It's very unlikely to be impacting that wall.
Okay.
And you would need to see the whole hill would need to shift under that house to have an issue. But that is to say, if you're a builder, you should be investigating those soils that are under that house that are holding that house that you build. Because if those soils aren't good, which our reports kind of indicate they probably aren't, the wall was built with the consideration they probably aren't good soils. You should definitely be replacing those soils, or at least in your design for the home, be considering that they might not be good soils.
As a township, is there anything we can do? Like, because of that, like when they're building, I mean, to me, it's like, okay, that's
when
kind
do-
of the builders.
Sorry.
I do have time.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just not talking into it. As a township, is there anything we could or should like routinely do in that kind of instance? Like to me, it's like, I feel like that's kind of past our scope of what we would restrict, that kind of falls into like between the builder, the building department, whoever inspects the homes
Yeah,
throughout the process. But is there anything we should be doing before we approve 3 more homes to be built on these sites that we can
here, I
actually
don't
do?
think so. No, I think here I'm confident you could build a home on that lot. It'll be fine. The way I would look at this wall is that if you had a contractor come over to your house and give you 3 options from economy all the way up to bulletproof, this is probably the economy version of a wall, just generally speaking. But I wouldn't have a concern that you can't put a house there inside that building envelope. I think it's perfectly fine. Moving forward, it's a bigger conversation to have with the planning department. If we obligate a contractor or if we hire somebody ourselves, like happened in this case, MTC, that they go out there and that they ensure that the wall is built and tested for the materials that are supposed to be used, that would be the answer. But how you do that, if you do it by holding extra in escrow or that's more of a planning department question. And we certainly, you look at like the garden apartments at the southwest corner of the township. The city, so that's part of what they're building there. The contractor is part of those apartments is water and sewer with the city of Grand Rapids. City of Grand Rapids obligates the township to have testing on everything regarding water and sewer, and that includes the installation of those materials and it includes the backfill of all those trenches. So the township actually, we work with Spalding the Decker. Spalding the Decker bills us, and then we build the escrow for the builder. So that's not unheard of that you would have a system that you actually you enforce the design plans through. That would be probably the best example of it.
But it's already been designed and done, right?
This wall, yes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a retrospective.
There's this site would be a good example of 100 things that could be done better now. But yeah, that's as it stands. There's no reason you can't put a house on this lot, in my opinion. But certainly, the whole process could have been done better.
Mhm. What, Andrea, would happen if, like, and maybe this is a Leslie question, if supposedly this wall is only good for 8 to 10 years, and if in 5 years it falls down?
I would imagine it's on the HOA, right, to maintain.
Yeah, I would think, I'm assuming it's part of the common goal, so the HOA would have.
Yeah, I agree. I think the HOA would probably have the responsibility to fix it,
Okay.
unless there's some different agreement in their, the deed restrictions or the recorded documents for the HOA or the association. But typically, an element like this would be considered a common element that they would all have to share in the cost of.
Okay.
And I don't mean to gloom and doom. I don't think.
Right.
But when you don't have the proof of what's there and you have a little bit of suspicions over who built it, as the design's conservative, right? So are my expectations are conservative.
Right.
But it could be there for 60 years without a problem as well.
I have a question. Is that better? So what's the groundwater relief in that wall? Because it looks like it's just coming right underneath it and running right out the Thorny Apple Road there. Is there any way to, the water that's coming to that's holding that thing in place, it's all going underneath that wall, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's either going under it or it should be getting captured in a sub drain behind the wall.
Yeah, and
That's a bad,
I do think there's a natural spring that's next to it somewhere that's not a part of that is the majority of the water that you see running down there comes from a separate natural spring near it, not necessarily part of the wall.
Well, and that's tricky. Like I said, I have a paper trail that says, well, they found water when they built it, but what happened next?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
It could be
it's
a
natural because the water puddles right there, but where the road is, and that's why you get the cattails growing there. I think.
Yeah,
But
and
you
I
can see
just
that
heard
water
that.
runs right down that. You can see it.
Right.
I drive by that thing all the time with my dog.
Yeah, I just heard that from the property owner that there is a natural spring up there, and that's why he has his landscaping the way it is because at one point there was a nice natural spring that ran down there, and part of this development had disrupted that some.
What's the point? What was the point of putting up the chain link fence on top?
So nobody falls
I think it's
off.
just a safety, honestly. If until you walked up to that wall, if you didn't know it was there, you were all of a sudden standing 15 feet above a drop.
Yeah,
That side.
it's
Yeah.
scary,
Yeah, I mean, you or me aren't going over it, but if you're a kid on a bike,
especially if that's
you
your
don't know it's
backyard.
there. I know.
If that's your backyard.
Set up a ramp and jump over it.
Yeah, if I'm an HOA and that's a common element, it's certainly a liable. I'm concerned about the liability of it.
Not the materials for the fence, everything else is okay, it's just ground, correct?
Yeah.
Fence height is okay, it meets our.
Yeah, as far as I know, Andrea can comment on that, but it looks good. I mean, it's only probably got to be 4 foot, 42 inch or something.
And just to clarify, you kind of talked about your impressions of the wall, but it was approved, it was constructed. In your opinion, though, is that building homes in these envelopes isn't going to impact the life of the wall, it's not going to impact the wall from an engineering perspective.
No, the wall was built, as far as I can tell, without a live surcharge would be the word I would use, which just means it was built without consideration to anything being built immediately behind it, which is that 15 feet behind it. So once you're outside that 15 feet, I would feel okay about it.
Okay.
And then I just have another question for Andrea. Did we hear from the homeowners association? Are they happy with? Are they here?
Yes,
So-
there's a letter of support in your packet, and Jack Pennington, the owner of Unit 1, is here and can speak to your. He's actually sitting right next to the applicant here.
Because I think just making sure that everything that was And just historically with this property, the issues that the township has had and the lawsuits that the township has been in regarding this property is mostly due to things that were not completed, that were supposed to have been completed with the original. And I think we're caught up on all of those things, correct? Other than the sidewalk, which has been
That's correct.
changed,
That's correct.
which it's a gated community, so it's not like
Was it?
people are walking and they're using the sidewalk. So I don't think that's a huge issue,
Yeah.
publicly speaking. Okay.
Anyone else have questions for Eric?
Just want to be sure that, you know, the setback for decks and everything else is going to meet our zoning, our new zoning rules of 25 feet.
Because this is a planned unit development, it would be bound by the planned unit development agreement that is an agreement between the township and the property owner, and then it's filed with the county. So they would not have to, any changes that we make in our zoning ordinance would not impact the agreement that exists for this property
And currently there's 0 feet.
in the front yard.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thanks, Eric. Everybody done? Questions for staff?
Yep.
All right, we move on to allow the applicant to come forward, say something, and maybe field any questions.
Pardon me?
All right, could you state your name and your address for the record?
Raleigh Finkelstein, 801 Broadway, Northwest, Apartment 448, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
All right. Thank you for being here. You've heard the staff report. Is there anything that you want us to know that we haven't heard already?
Nothing that I know about. Anything that has to be done as far as we're concerned will be done. So
How many originally units was this planned for?
10,
And this will be
7, 8, and 9. I'm sorry, 8, 9, and 10 that will need to be created.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
No, thanks.
All right.
all right.
This was easy. All right, having heard from staff and the applicant, I think we're ready to move on to public comment. We entertain a motion.
make a motion to open public hearing.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, public hearing's open. Anybody here to speak on this matter? You're welcome to come forward, state your name. Does anybody here want to speak? I see a few people here. Someone want to go first? Please start off with just let us know who you are, your name, your address.
Dr. Josh Jordan, 5479 Whispering Timbers. First off, I don't have a dog in this hunt. I'm just a concerned citizen that wants to be more involved. I recently moved to the township last year, and my first hearing I ever went to was the zoning hearing.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, yes, sir. So I would just say, as a concerned citizen, we've heard a lot of talk lately about recent efforts that the township has enacted to make our standards better, but those standards have been too burdensome for the developers. But taking a look at the shortcuts on this project, it's clear that when a builder takes the economy route, the community is the one paying the price. I just wanted to get up and voice that it's an interesting coincidence that the very voices telling us that we don't need better regulations are ones proving with their very own work exactly why we do. Their arguments against new regulations fall pretty flat when you're standing in the middle of their latest shortcut. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for your comments. Anybody else here? We got some guys in the back row.
Any comments on anything at all?
Related to this.
No.
Just related to this issue?
Yep.
There'll be another opportunity.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. I don't see anybody else coming forward. So do we take a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Wendy makes the motion, Robert seconds. That's how things work around here. All in,
I paused. I was waiting. I was like,
all in favor? All
um,
right. No one's opposed. All right. So that closes the public hearing on this matter. Comment amongst the commissioners. Anyone have anything want to talk about?
yeah, I'll just say my thoughts. I'm mentally torn in a little bit just because I know the history of what has happened. Oh, goodness. Mentally torn just because, and I'm just saying my thoughts as they come out. Just the history of what has happened in this property, and the history the township has had with this property and the problems that the township has had. My understanding, which might not be right, that a lot of it was on the previous builder that was doing this property. I sat on the planning commission when he stood in front of us and was not very truthful or would be caught in lies when he was presenting or talking to us. So that being said, the other side of me is we have owners of these properties, investors in these properties, and we have people who have moved in there and purchased homes there that are expecting to have a homeowners association with 10 homes to share the burden of any kind of things that come up within the community. And I think that we owe it to them, since the original plan was to have 10 homes, to have 10 homes there as long as they are built location in the areas, and that all of the things previously that were not completed or not done or issues with the previous builders have been fixed to the best of our knowledge. And we have public comment. We allow people to come up and speak. I didn't hear anybody say anything that they're concerned about or that hasn't been completed or that, didn't get corrected along the way, because there's been so many issues along the way. I have heard as a board member something from a neighbor. Their biggest question was about the retaining wall. I feel like Eric answered that. The question wasn't actually about the retaining wall in its life in that side. It was more of worry about the homes being put on the property if the soil was compacted. But it sounds like where the new envelope would not be affected in any way by what was backfilled into that area. So we can only do what we can do with the information that we have, and it feels like we have the information that things have been corrected, and we're at a point where they have 3 more lots that they plan to build on. To me, these are, part of the problem before was okay, here's your little postage stamp that you're going to build a house on, and then somebody comes to buy a house and they want to add a deck or add this or that, and then they were, not falling within what the agreement of the PUD was, where this envelope area seems to fix that issue where, okay, here's an area, whatever you can build within this area. I don't know. So it seems to me that things have hopefully all been fixed. We haven't heard anything, and like I said, we can only do what we can do with the information we have. I do have one other question, or I don't know if Andrea can answer it, or the owners, but is there a minimum house size for your development?
Yeah, that's probably set in the PUD,
It is.
right?
It is.
Okay.
It's in the planned unit development.
Okay,
We'd have to
because
clar-
that was the only other question, was just making sure that we're not.
There are also architectural requirements that will go to the Round Hill Association to determine if they meet
Right.
the standards.
Okay.
We have an architectural committee that approves any building.
Okay. Yeah.
like
I mean, and to me, this was, again, approved a long time ago. 10 homes within this area. You have people that have purchased homes that live there that are expecting to have 3 more neighbors to be a part of the community. And as long as we haven't heard anything negative from any of the people who live in the community or the people who live around it, I don't see how we can say no.
Right. Well, yeah, just on behalf of the other commissioners, I appreciate that, Wendy. You're the person up here with the historical context. Most of us weren't here the first time around. So yeah, I would just say for me, this doesn't seem very difficult, right?
No.
I mean, this,
I think that just the name and I've tried, we had a whole committee at the township called the Round Hill Committee, and I kept trying to tell them, let's get the name Round Hill out of it. It should be about the builder, because that was the problems that they were having was with the builders. It wasn't about the community, and I don't think it's fair to the residents who live there to put a negative annotation on the community, because it's not about the community. It was about a builder who was not doing things that he was saying that he was doing. And so, you know, my job is to look out for the residents, and I haven't heard anything from anybody. So
I have one more thing. I've seen this development come up from the get go. We were gonna buy something. I talked to the first guy. He was pulling a trailer. He had a black truck and a trailer, and he built that first house. Which one is that? Unit 8 or 9? Does anybody know? What was the first house that was built? Because I talked to the guy about buying something in there, and I backed away from it. 8. Number 8. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yep. Dark wood, had all the dark. I mean, I love the way those look. They look really, really nice. I just didn't like the way he finished everything, you know. But whatever, it is what it is. I said, if I'm spending that kind of money, I want to make sure we're getting something nice. So, and they're beautiful houses, and I agree with you guys. It's a really nice area. One thing I would say though is that towards the street, what are those garbage cans? Is that a garbage collection that's in that wood thing that's on the street side?
I'm not sure what you're.
No, there's like is it a sign or something? Look, I don't know. It's a box. It looks like when you first pull in there.
Communication.
What is that?
It has the,
Garbage cans?
no, those aren't garbage cans.
Just
Oh, the city requires that. It's a electrical, big electrical.
Station.
oh, I guess.
And
that's how you hide it.
Yeah.
I see. All right.
Family got garbage cans.
All right. Very good.
I have no idea the lawsuits that are going on from here against the builder.
good.
yeah, I can
There
imagine.
are everyone.
Yep.
The problems that are going on.
I can only imagine.
Oh, I doubt if you can. One of the residents has spent over $100,000.
Mhm.
Shoot.
It's.
Yeah, it really is. And it's sad that that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully the last 3 will not have the.
No, that's.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the history here, I think provides a bit of a cautionary tale is the one citizens said, but as far as meeting the master plan and section 1306, this kind of seems like a no-brainer kind of minor
Exactly. I mean, it
minor
really is a
changes
minor change.
to let these folks get these last 3 buildings built, I think. So anybody have anything else? Nope. I'm looking to our motion maker, I guess.
I'll make a motion
All right.
Glad somebody.
to recommend approval of the proposed amendments to ordinance number 1 of 1980, the Sentinel Point PUD as presented in the attached ordinance to amend the Sentinel Point PUD.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No one opposed. The motion passes. That concludes Article 7. All right, Article 8. Do we have other visitors or others wishing to speak on a different matter? Sir, in the green hat, were you here helping?
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Carey.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
My name is Kenneth Carey. I live at 2929 Thornapple River Drive, and I have an adjoining lot, which is 2923 Thornapple River Drive. It's directly across from Les Tassel Park.
Okay.
Okay, well, let me tell you another little horror story that happened to me approximately 11 years ago at the hands of our former planning director, Steve Peterson.
Okay.
The last home that went into the summit was built without any direct drainage being routed into the drainage system up there. there was a drainage system in place up there, but there was a problem with drainage at the old 28th Street and Cascade Road. And Steve Peterson decided that he wanted this home built for the tax base, but he didn't want the water from it. So what he decided to do is direct the homeowner and the builder to direct their water down the hill into my backyard. And the damage is continuing today. It's cost me out of pocket. Well, it cost my employer over $150,000 in legal fees, engineering costs, and it was settled in my favor after a 6-year lawsuit. I'd love to show you pictures of it, but what you really need here is you need to be able to zoom in on documents and show everybody in the room. It would take me too much time to show you the portfolio that I have, but I'll show you just a few pictures of what a 6-year lawsuit looks like.
Andrea, do we have the ability for them to show things anymore or no?
I don't know how to work it.
Okay.
There is a way to.
There is a way, but it's not, I brought it up. Yeah, it's possible to do that. And believe me, it would save everybody a lot of time and effort if you were just able to do that and bring it up for everybody.
Yep.
So after 6 years of a lawsuit, it was ruled in my favor in a summary judgment hearing. If you don't know what a summary judgment hearing is, it's a hearing that the either one of the parties can bring so that the judge can make a decision right there on the spot without having to go to court.
Yep.
After reviewing the data from Steve Peterson, he looked at the owner and said, "You're going to lose this case. You won't even make it back in my courtroom with the engineering that Mr. Peterson provided the homeowner." He said, "My advice to you is to settle with Mr. Carey because you're not going to see the inside of this courtroom again." The engineering was a joke. It was an absolute joke. And so you look at the downside of the lack of engineering, and as far as Steve Peterson's considered, good riddance to the guy, because he caused me nothing but headaches for 6 years. And if you could only see the damages that I'm still incurring, even after winning that lawsuit, the night before Thanksgiving, I had a massive tree come down in my yard, causing approximately $30,000 damage so far. While that tree was being taken out by excavators, another tree fell. And my heart goes out to the new homeowner that lives above me in the summit at 2900 Summit Overlook. But it looks like I'm going to have to revisit this again. And I mean, it's an absolute nightmare for me. And I don't know if any of you can see, this is what a 6.5-year lawsuit looks like. This was my documentation. The judge complimented me on how fast I could retrieve documents and present them for the judge. And this right here is a little bit of the damage that I'm incurring right now. This is all new timber that came down. The initial estimates for removing this tree from my backyard were $20,500. I've been able to get it removed for less than that, but now we got other trees down. There's a continued erosion problem, and I see no end to this problem.
Yeah.
So, you're talking about the lack of engineering and the consequences. They're very real for me every single day. And so I'm going to have to revisit this, and you're probably going to hear a lot about it. If any of you would like to put on a pair of boots and inspect the site, you're going to be horrified at what you see. But you're welcome to visit 2929 Thornapple River or 2923. And thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Very sorry to hear about what she had to go through.
Well, we can thank Steve for that.
All right. Anybody else here wishing to speak, present or online? All right, that concludes Article 8. Article 9, we're gonna have closed door session.
Yep. So at this point, I'd ask for a motion to go into closed session to discuss a confidential attorney-client privilege legal opinion with the township's attorney.
I'll make a motion for what she said.
And we need a roll call on that.
Okay, let's start with Wendy for a roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving to closed session.
I make a motion to go back into open session.
Support. All right, back in open session. We still have an open article for other business. Anyone have any other business?
No.
All right, no other business. Meeting.
Rock and roll.